Hello everyone, welcome to Narain's Life with MS. This is Narain and it's time for Friday Findings. And this Friday Findings, I'm pretty happy to note that again, it's not going to be very scientific. The two articles that I do have do share certain things about MS that, you know, are slightly more on the positive side, and definitely if um, with one concerning a certain uh, one concerning a certain symptom that you might actually have with MS, while the other one really focuses on all in all just something that will definitely benefit MS in the long run. So I do hope that you do enjoy these two articles that I have found for you. As always, these articles will be the links to these articles will be available in the description section of this video, so you can definitely go there. You can definitely read through the articles and do share your thoughts, your opinions, your insights, and your experiences in regards to these articles, so that we can get a conversation started and definitely get a little more in depth, especially in regards to how you think these two articles can actually create some sort of ripple in the field of multiple sclerosis. But of course, with that said, why don't we get started with article number one? So, with article number one, the article actually references cognitive behavioral therapy as a way to improve MS depression. Now, usually depression as a result of MS usually occurs because you have patients that, you know, tend to face symptoms like poor memory, the inability to concentrate, inability to do a lot of things as a result of MS. And of course, all of those things can definitely influence depression as a result of MS if depression isn't already, happening due to MS existing in a patient. But the researchers here have found that cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is actually very effective in improving MS MS depression in patients, especially after about 2 months of continuous therapy. We are looking at patients receiving either solo or group therapy, either done online, virtually, over the phone, in person, and at least once a week for about 2 months of time, to actually show that improvement in the depression. One thing that this study also shows is that generally, the impacts or the effects of the CBT will over time lower, and usually within about 6 months there needs to be at least a booster dose, as they call it on the article, but more so we can say just a follow-up therapy sessions to pretty much reinforce all of the reasons why the MS depression actually improved in patients. So this is the first story that I came across that actually ended up being very interesting, because usually one of the things that tend to happen, especially with MS patients who are suffering from MS depression, is to get medication, and usually medication tends to have quite a few side effects. And considering that most MS patients are usually on some pretty hardline medications that are you know that already cause quite a bit of impacts on the body, having something that does not require intake of additional medication definitely helps for people who are already suffering from the many side effects that their regular DMTs or other um, such therapies are causing. So of course this is something that is very nice to note. One thing also is to note is that any form of therapy, if you are receiving it, will definitely require some time to actually reflect in your actions, your activities. So of course taking those 2 months to have the regular CBT sessions and then actually enjoying the effects of the CBT sessions for about 6 months seems like a pretty good trade-off, if you ask me, to have that uh, ability to feel a little better about yourself. But of course, I do look forward to your thoughts, your insights, your experiences as to what do you think about this article, what do you think about this study, and how can we actually maybe make it a little more impactful for people who probably are suffering from MS depression, or maybe are showing signs of MS depression, but um, are not are unwilling to seek the therapy, seek pretty much any help on that matter. So that was article number 1. So our next story is actually something that I found very interesting, and it really shows the lens at which the community can go to benefit people living with multiple sclerosis. So this article actually covers an event that goes on called Bike MS Roundup. This is an event that generally focuses on cyclists who are pretty much fundraising for multiple sclerosis research. And this year, by the looks of it, they are going to be raising almost 1.4 million US dollars. That is actually going to help in more research, much more awareness, and of course a lot more outreach to patients who probably do not have the means to get MS treatment. So this of course is this was such a happy story that I did want to share it with everyone. And honestly, I hope this is for the best. Actually, in this uh, in this article, they actually reference one of the people who has been doing Bike MS Roundup for almost 18 years, and he started this when he was maybe around when he was still a child, and he would do it because his mother had multiple sclerosis, so his father would ride, and then he started accompanying his father, and now that his father has passed, he is cycling alongside his son. So it does seem like this is definitely a family event that is continuing, and I do hope that there are going to be more people and more families and more communities that continue to um, do such programs, so that they are able to not only raise awareness but also raise a lot of money that can actually help in lots of things that are needed for MS, with the fact that MS is something that does not affect a lot of people in the world, and that too it affects more women generally means that there usually isn't a lot of money set aside for research, set aside for finding ways to um, yeah, help out the patients, to do outreach programs, or even to raise awareness for this disease. So a lot of times it is very helpful to see such, you know nice pieces of news actually showing from time to time. So, of course, you can check out this article in the description section, and of course, there will be more information regarding the event, what is happening, and where you can actually go on May 2nd or May 3rd if you're especially living in North Texas, to pretty much either cycle yourself or at least celebrate with all of the cyclists that are going to the finish line. So, of course, this was the second article. So, please do share your thoughts, your comments, your insights, your experiences, and do let me know, did you actually like cycling? If you definitely are a patient of MS or a patient of any other autoimmune condition that probably prevents you, or at least um, makes cycling a hurdle, did you actually like cycling before then? Please do share your thoughts on that, your insights, your experiences, so that we can get a conversation started over there. But with that said, that was article number 2. So, how did you like the articles that I had to share? Looking at these articles, I definitely did, considering I hadn't done Friday Findings last week, I actually had a little burst of positivity, more or less, considering that, both of these things actually do sound a little hopeful for a lot of people that have MS, and probably either are having certain things that maybe not every single patient has, or otherwise might need help, but do not know where to access it. So of course there is some great news, but of course I'm not going to leave you just there. There is an extra article that I have attached in the description section that you can definitely check out. This one actually covers 7 MS management mistakes that you might be making and not know it at all. Right? Upon reading that article, um, I definitely am guilty of doing at least a few things, if not all of them. But yes, please do check it out. Please do let it know, and maybe it can be more of a conversation starter for you, especially when you do know someone who has MS, and you may be suspecting them of doing any of these things, right? Any of them, because there are, like I said, there are 7 very glaring MS management mistakes. And while I won't tell you how many I checked off personally, there's definitely at least more than one that I checked off. So, you know, it is very important that everyone does know that with this condition, even if it is, an invisible disease until it is not, that does not mean that it is that your body isn't, you know, having an internal storm happening on a daily basis. So, of course, with all of that said, my final message is, of course, stay safe. Um, Stay healthy, drink lots of water, and of course, if you do need help, definitely do tell someone, right? Do communicate with someone. But of course, with that said, I do hope that your weekend is starting off very well. I know that over here it was May Day, so it was a holiday. So of course, I started sleeping. I definitely started my routine of sleeping during the weekend a little earlier. So maybe I do have a little bit of other energy to do other things come Sunday. But of course, with that said, I do hope your weekend does go very well. Again, this is Naren Live with MS. I am Naren, and here's wishing you a very happy weekend. And of course, a good night, sweet dreams, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.